Have no fear, Sprite is here. What is going on, guys? The Discovery here, back for another deck profile. So I'm actually super hyped and pretty excited to showcase this. This is my Sprite deck profile. So I've just managed to get a hold of all the stuff, all the Sprite stuff. It took a long time to, actually I say it took a long time. It took about a week to get a hold of everything. Bear in mind, like, you know, this deck is going to be in high demand for a while. But before we go into the profile, I want to talk briefly about how this will impact the meta. Unlike the OCG, the TCG currently is a lot different. We have to remember that, of course, Brave is next to, is basically dead in the OCG now, with Rite of Aramasir and obviously Enchantress both being limited. In the TCG, it's completely at full power. Scythe is still everywhere. Mystic Mine is still a thing. There is lots and lots and lots of nonsense in the TCG in comparison to just the OCG. So although Sprite and Telements are, in my opinion, going to be incredible tier 1 decks, I do think that there still will be some competition between these decks, just in general. I do feel that as broken as Sprite and Telements are, I do think that there still will be competition, especially considering we do have Halka Firebrax still. And as much as people believe that it's going to get banned next list, myself included, we still have to remember we're not into that format yet. So yeah, anyway, let's go straight into the deck profile. So, starting off with our main deck monsters, we're playing, of course, triple blue Sprite, or Sprite blue. Cans of Sprite are actually usually green and yellow, but yeah, blue Sprite. This is the one that is pretty much your main starter Sprite. He's going to search absolutely everything for you. Overall, this is a pretty damn strong card when it comes down to it, and you tend to always go into you're going to tend to always search Jet afterwards, unless you've got a Jet in your hand. You can search red. This is just really nice. We're playing triple Sprite Jet. This is, again, you tend to always, if you start off with starter, it tends to always go, you'd use Sprite Jet, Sprite Blue, then Sprite Jet. And then you just start off your plays with that because of Gigantic Sprite being pretty damn broken. So Sprite Jet, we play 3 copies of, 2 Sprite Red. This card's actually pretty nuts. The thing with it is people really disrespect the stuff that you can do during your opponent's turn. Now, a lot of the time, even if you start off with Sprite Starter, you're going to search Sprite Starter. No, if you start your combo off with Sprite Starter, when it comes to Jet's effect, you're going to normally summon the Sprite, search the Sprite Starter. So that way you can special summon usually the Sprite Red directly from the deck, bringing a negate onto the field, considering you might there might probably be a high chance you'll have a Dupe Frog on the field, so you have a tribute for a negate. Double Sprite Carrot. Loads of people play 1. The reason I like 2 comes down to the fact that first things first is like an additional extender. Point number 2 is the fact that in this deck I do play Desires. Desires isn't usually seen as the card to be playing. People play Prosperity, and quite frankly I would say play Prosperity over the Desires. Me personally, I don't have Prosperities, and at the same time, the moment you tend to get all your combos all started, you can dig further into your deck, try and get dig in for some hand traps. We're playing a lot of hand traps and disruption cards in this deck, just to point out as well. So yeah, I like the 2 dark Sprite Carrot. Last extenders, we're playing 2 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. Tempted to play 3 and not tempted at the same time. I don't know. I just find that this card is so good, but you don't really want to open multiple copies of it, because it tends to be one of these cards where if you open this, you search the spell, and then you just special normal summon another one, then bam, Gigantic Sprite straight there. The whole aspect of this you want to turbo that gigantic Sprite. That card is what the main bread and butter is. So yeah, 2 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. Onto the frog package, the good old froggies. So of course we're playing triple swap frog. Now, this is actually interesting. I'm going to quickly just put this out very quickly. Now, people, the OCG actually banned swap frog, not swap frog, banned Totally Awesome. Quite frankly, I don't actually think Totally Awesome's really the issue. I think it's swap frog. I do think that out of everything, the way that they hit the deck, if they want to hit the frog package, is you limit swap frog, because this way you don't actually have the further banishes to be able to get into your what's it called, Totally Awesome. It just makes it inconsistent as anything. And I think out of the only reason why this engine is so good is because of how consistent it is because of Gigantic Sprite. When you take away the consistency, you don't kill the card and you don't kill the archetype. The one Dupe Frog and then the one Ronin Totem. So loads of people play Dupe Frog and then loads don't. I 100% think that as long as Totally Awesome is legal, Dupe Frog is necessary. The Dupe Frog actually will really save your ass, actually, because of the fact that when you do summon the Dupe Frog during the standby phase of your opponent's turn, you will just get a body on the field that your opponent has to run over before they do the what's it called, the Totally Awesome. And because of Sprite Elf, the Totally Awesome won't even be able to be targeted for the card effects as well. So you have 2 different ways of playing around when it comes down to playing with the Sprite Elf with the Dupe Frog. And the Dupe Frog, again, what I was mentioning with the Sprite Red. The Sprite Red Dupe Frog play is really good because you summon the Dupe Frog during the opponent's standby phase, and then use Sprite Starter to summon the Sprite Red from the deck. And then you now have a negate on the field because Sprite Red will allow you to tribute the Dupe Frog to negate the activation of the card, which is actually just really nice. So that's it for our main deck standard monsters. Onto the hand traps. I'm playing triple Ash Blossom Joyspring. This is, you know, just a standard one. Triple Veiler. If you want to stop Gigantic Sprite plays, then Ash and Veiler will be they will be the ace in the hole. This is the 2 cards that really are going to help you out a lot of the time to stop that Gigantic Sprite. I've said this too much. I'm going to stop saying Gigantic Sprite now. But again, Ash Blossom stops tier, prevents your opponent from sending to the graveyard. Very nice. The next card that I started to main deck is actually 3 copies of DD Crow. So it kind of feels like to me now, since tier is in the meta as well, main decking DD Crow is actually going to be extremely impactful. And impactful in the way that we're going to be allowing our opponents to start off their new chains after their cards have been milled to the graveyard. We're just going to get rid of the problem cards straight away, and then bam, no chains will begin after the tier cards stop. At the same time, if you're playing in a mirror match or just playing against any deck that relies on your opponent special summoning from the graveyard, Crow is the way to go. And of course, Branded is still meta, as is all these good stuff decks, and these, just in general. So DD Crow is very nice. And then we're playing, obviously, triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Yeah, so there's a lot of hand traps in this, technically 12 hand traps. Another card in the spell card section that you're going to see shortly. But yeah, this is, I think, just a very standard hand trap lineup. I do just like playing the DD Crows. I do suggest it, especially for this format. On to the spell cards, we are playing 3 copies of Sprite Starter. Sprite Starter is basically a retally from the from the deck. And the reason why this card is so crazy is because of how crazy all the other Sprite monsters are. Sprite Blue, like literally, you open this is a full combo, one card full combo. And there's literally not actually much your opponent can do to pretty much stop it, because they can't nib you when you start off combos. And the best part about Sprite Star just comes to the fact that it is a quick effect. So you do activate it, tend to activate it during I tend to activate it during draw phase if I go turn 1, and then turn 2, I'll use it to summon something like a Sprite Red, and then we'll carry on from there. So yeah, the one Sprite Smashers, don't play multiple copies of this. One's enough. This card's mainly really good for the grind game. Later in the later game, you don't really want to kick off plays with this turn 1, because you will have a lot of resources. A lot of the time when I was testing this, I tended to search for Sprite Smashers or go for the Smashers after my Frog Engine's been either completely gutted or it's just getting to the stage where the game's getting late. And then we're playing the one opening of the the Spirit Gates. This card is literally just because of the fact that we're playing the the Dark Beckoning Beast. You basically get to just use Beckoning Beast, search, and then just get another summon. Basically, Dark Beckoning Beast is a 1-card gigantic sprite, so that's just the way it is. And opening is pretty much a part of the combo part. Also, if you guys want to see a combo video for this, if this reaches, let's say, 200 views with over 15 likes, I will create a combo video relating this. So yeah, we'll do that. And then on to a couple more generics. I'm playing 2 copies of Pot of Desires. You don't really see people play Prosperity in this. In my opinion, this deck does remind me of Prank Kids, in the sense that it is, once you get your full combo sort of sorted, quote unquote, you can Desires and try and dig in for some more resources or dig in for some hand traps. I just think Desires is just a really, really nice card in general. 1 Call by the Grove. Triple Forbidden Droplet. Replace this with Dark Ruler No More, or Forbidden Chalice, or whatever interruption card you want to play. If you can't afford it, I was testing Triple Tactics Talent. The only issue with Triple Tactics Talents is that again, like, it tends to only be good to be playing against during the mirror match. That or just playing against tier, but I don't think that we're only going to be just seeing tier and thingies this entire format. I still think that there is going to be a lot of different deck variety. So yeah, this is just a very, very nice standard lineup. And to our extra deck, we're playing 2 Gigantic Sprite. I don't actually know what they were thinking when it came down to this card. I really don't. This is an extremely poorly designed XYZ monster. I mean, this is really what makes the deck so busted, is literally just this. This is literally an E-Tele for absolutely any level 2 monster. Any of them. And that is the main concern when it comes to this. Like, yeah, you're locked into level 2 and Link 2, both players. Hold on a second. So now, because of this, my opponent can't Nibiru me, and I'm now free to do whatever the hell I want. I mean, this is just based, man. Like, honestly, this is just an extremely, extremely busted starter card. And quite frankly, it feels to me that Sprite is basically Gigantic Sprite Turbo. This card is just bonkers, man. Absolute bonkers. The one, totally awesome. It's probably going to get banned in the future, let's be honest. You guys know what it does. Negate steal, not once per turn. You tend to be able to use this about twice during your opponent's turn if you go turn 1. Occasionally 3 times if you're lucky. The one, Sky Cavalry. Quite a nice card. Only reason why I tend to play this is just because it's a decent generic, what's it called? Level 2, link to, rank 2 XYZ. Apart from that, that's literally it. I am missing Cat Shark now. My Cat Shark has decided to not come through the post yet, but because I literally had the whole deck delivered, well, not delivered, the whole deck sorted out already, I really just wanted to get this deck, you know, just sent out as quick as possible. So, yeah, I would be playing the one Cat Shark, but because I don't have Cat Shark yet, I'm not going to be, it's not on here. The one Download Magician, the one AA Zeus, as per usual. Whenever you have XYZ based decks, or decks with just loads of XYZs in general, AA Zeus is just the way to go. Download Zeus plays are just annoying, they're boring to play against, and you know, sometimes you just got to clear the field, and it's the only thing you got to do. It's the only thing you got to do, man. Double Sprite Elf, busted card, absolutely busted. This is pretty much a monster reborn during during either player's turn, and a lot of the time, basically, you're pretty much just going to be using Sprite Elf to special summon back the Totally Awesome that you sent to the graveyard. Like, I don't really think I have to say much when it comes down to Call of the Haunted Monster Reborn cards during your opponent's turn effects, especially when it's cards like Totally Awesome, and yeah, it's just crazy. And at the same time, the dumb part about Sprite Elf is the fact that when it's depending on when the card's pointing towards it, yeah, you just can't even target it. So the thing with it is, if you have when you have like a turn 1 board with the Frog Engine, you'll have a Dupe Frog and and you're Totally Awesome with Sprite Elf basically pointing at the Toad, so it can't even be targeted for Imperm or something along those lines. They have to get rid of the Dupe Frog first. This card just makes getting rid of the main problem even more problematic. Yeah. One Mirage. Mirage is literally just because if I open a Ronin Totem, I want to get it to the graveyard if I can't discard. If I have no access in getting Swap Frog straight away, I will try as hard as I can to just get the Ronin Totem to graveyard, so I can special summon a Swap Frog eventually if I'm able just to go for my Gigantic Sprite play. And yeah, I go from there. Literally, once you have Gigantic Sprite on the field, once Gigantic Sprite's on the field, you win. That's well, once it resolves, you win. That's basically how it is. Playing the one dark, best Charmer card. There are still loads of dark decks going around, like all over the place. And yeah, your deck's pretty much all dark monsters apart from the waters. And yeah, apart from that, this card's just great. One IP Masquerena, very nice card to set up. You want to tend to always set this up during your opponent's turn. So for your going into your opponent's turn, you always want to set up this card. Very, very nice. The one Nightmare Unicron. This is not Unicorn, it's Unicron. If you watch Transformers back in the day, you'll know that. Yeah, IP Unicorn plays very standard. We're all used to it. The one Nightmare Phoenix, back row removal and extra deck space. This deck has, apart from the Toad Engine and then like, you know, a few other cards, maybe like the IP package, you don't tend to go into the extra deck and do some crazy shit, because you tend to just res everything anyway. Like, yeah. And then we'll play the one Nightmare Cerberus. I am actually still testing Access Code Talker in this deck. It is playable, because as long as you don't go for Gigantic Sprite plays immediately, your access code plays are still possible. So access code still is still an option, but quite frankly, I do feel that just playing the Cerbs is good. And this deck, because of Gigantic Sprite's effect to double attack points, it's actually very easy to end games, and especially because of the fact that you can flood the field. Very easy. Yeah. Anyway, that's been it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys maybe learned something about the deck. If you want to see me make a combo video, as I said, if video gets over 200 views with 15 likes, the combo video will come. Anyway, it's been The Discovery, and I'll see you later. But